Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the Coffee House, and welcome to Dungeon Souls. This is definitely a game with souls in the title. We're going to try the Barbarian today. So yeah, it's a pixel art game with souls in the title that is also a roguelike, aka we have what is more than likely the sort of epitome of small indie games on Steam right now. That's okay. We still love it. So yeah, Dungeon Souls is a game made by a man named Mike. And it is, in my opinion, a very well put together roguelike. Roguelike, whatever term you want to use for this genre. It is a game in which you go through dungeons and you kill a series of monsters to progress to the next floor, picking up items along the way. There is permadeath involved, that sort of thing. So, things you want to know about this game relative to other games in the genre. This game takes a lot of cues from Spelunky, The Binding of Isaac, and Risk of Rain. Much like Risk of Rain, there's a sort of MOBA-styled ability structure. You have a few abilities that are on cooldowns. You manage those cooldowns to make the most of different situations. Like Isaac, it's very objective-based. You're going through different rooms that enable you to finish a floor. And like Spelunky, and Risk of Rain, there's a great sense of urgency. At the end of each level, you know, it feels like almost right after the level is completed, you get a message saying the Redeemer has arrived. Now, the Redeemer, much like Spelunky's ghost, will come and immediately hunt you down and insta-kill you, or it feels like it insta-kills you, at the very least. So there's always a pressure to keep moving, even if, you know, much like something like Isaac, you would much rather want to just make progress and explore a floor. I do like that a lot. It adds a sense of motion to the game, which really does complement the movement, which is very fluid. I'm really impressed with how well this game controls. It consistently feels very smooth, and I think that's going to do a lot for it as the game continues to be updated. This is, for better or worse, a game that sort of falls into the vertical slice category of early access. So that's to say, this game is, the systems are there. There's a good series of characters that each have unique abilities. And these abilities cause them to play very differently and feel very different, no matter who you're playing. Which I really do think is a great thing to have in a game like this. You know, where something like Isaac, you know, the characters have different items, that's one thing. In this game, there's a sense that the game, each character is a totally different experience altogether, which I think is impressive. I would like to check out that golden bookcase, but I want to just get to the boss. Okay, so first boss of the game. I do find that this game is not particularly brutal of difficulty. I've only been playing it for about a half an hour or so far. So I haven't really quite picked up all of the skills I'm going to need yet, but it doesn't strike me as something that's going to be sort of brutally unfair the way Risk of Rain gets on higher difficulties. But rather, as soon as you figure out the game's basics, it feels like it's going to be fairly straightforward to make easy progress, which is something a lot of commentators have noted. I think it's accurate. And yeah, I think that's going to hopefully be mitigated as more features are added. Oops, probably gonna be a death here. As more features are added as the game advances. This game is in constant updating, it looks like. There was an update just on Monday. That's unfortunate, it's a death. We'll try a different character. The Archer is a ranged character. So the updates do come, it looks like, ideally weekly. The schedule seems to be pretty tight. So I do really appreciate that. So this character has a sort of a spread shot. Much more accurate ranged shots than the Barbarian. So you get the advantage of range, but you do really miss out on the amount of health that the Barbarian has, which is, you know, makes things a little bit trickier when you're playing as the Archer. At least in the early phases, as I'm sort of, you know, just learning the game's mechanics and dodging. I think once you get past that early phase, the game should be fairly simple to figure out in that regard. I do really like the addition of the stat screen. It adds a layer of sort of a more traditional RPG feeling to it, which I think will be very nice to see, especially as I get to know the meta with more characters and get to experiment with various different builds and items. So I think that'll be really nice to see in the future, especially if more layers to this game are added, as we're anticipating. As a vertical slice game, I think this works really well so far. I get a very good sense of what the game's supposed to be like when it's going to be feature complete, but still feel like I'm hungering for more. So if your question is, you're sitting here watching this and wondering, do I buy this game right now? Well, I think much like most early access games, like most games that are sort of very well put together but aren't completed in terms of features yet, judge and see if this game looks like enough to keep you interested right now. There's a pretty full cast of characters and lots of unlockables. Last week's update included, see, there's the Redeemer, scratching the map on. And if that seems like enough for you to get started and start enjoying this game, then absolutely go for it. I do think, however, if you're looking for something that is going to be sort of a fully fleshed out experience, kind of like a, where the Binding of Isaac is right now after lots of expansions and that sort of thing, then this might not be for you. And there's the arrow rain. So each character seems to have a basic attack of some kinds, a ability you can use more frequently, and then ability you can use less frequently, kind of like an ultimate, but on a much shorter cooldown. I do think the system works out really well. It keeps the game moving pretty fluidly and giving you a feeling that you have a little bit of an ability rotation without sort of bogging you down with too many without bogging you down with too many options for ability usage and be getting a little too overwhelming in the sort of deep MOBA sense. Let's see what we have here. Let's try the hammer. Not too much gold right now, so I figured that might be nice. The nice thing is shops do drop consumables for some reason. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is one of those secret levels. I have not been here yet, so this is brand new for me. I think it's very... I do think it's very interesting that the game has chosen the structure of the 4 marks. So unlike other games where you have a series of maybe just distinct rooms, or some other structure where you will have to make progress, like Spelunky, you sort of have to get your chosen damsel, dog, etc., to the end of a floor, that sort of thing, where you have to find the exit, nuclear throne, you have to find the portal somehow and kill all the enemies. This game chooses to have let's try max health. A system that involves clearing out for what is, ostensibly like an Isaac challenge room, which again really does fit in with this whole theme of there are constantly things that have to be moving. So you always know. I actually haven't gotten to upgrade these things just yet. I haven't gotten to the point in the game where I've been able to find my 3rd upgrade. So this is all brand new, both for me. So hopefully I'm able to point things out to you as I'm finding them out. I am worried about the Redeemer at this point, obviously. Yep. And there they are. I'm not sure about the timing of the game, like I said. I'm sure there is a way to tell. I've not figured it out just yet. Chest key. But everything does have a sense of movement. Enemies are constantly spawning, which gives there's no space for rest, which I think, much like Risk of Rain, really does work well to establishing a sense of peril, of urgency, that sort of thing. That seems good. I don't know anything about item builds yet. I don't know what is good, what isn't good. That would be very bad. Most of the items do not hurt you, I believe, so that is one thing that's been a little bit confusing. There's a Molotov cocktail ability, there's a bunch of explosive abilities that appear not to hurt me and do hurt enemies. So I'm a little unsure about that, but pop a potion. But I think overall the game is very straightforward, and that is both a blessing and a curse. To anybody familiar with the genre, this is going to feel pretty familiar. This is the game you've been playing, this is, the game you've loved, and, it seems like the developer knows that, and I think it's good that he at the very least has that perspective to know that he's making the game that we've played before. But I think in this case it's going to be a good thing if, stuff like this suggests we're going to have a lot more feature expansion rather than, oops, I haven't gotten my 4th portal yet, which is probably going to be a death then of the Redeemer if it comes soon. Hopefully I can squeeze it quickly though. do not have to kill the waves, you just have to activate the mark, which is a nice feature and it probably will affect speedruns if those ever come to life. Okay, so we do have a new boss here. I've never fought this boss. We'll see how this goes. I do find interesting that there are a lot of enemies on the boss fights. This probably does allow you to do things like, wow, that was impressive. Stack up those items that we talked about, the Risk of Rain style structure there. So yeah, if you think this game looks solid as is, I say definitely give it a purchase. It's worth trying out. It seems to be getting a lot of support. Go for it, and if not, then I will be here to give you some more updates on the game as it's coming out, and hopefully through the full release I'll do a final review. So thank you all for watching today. If you like this video, give me a like and a comment. It'll help out a ton, and hopefully we can get some discussion started on what people think of this game. And if you didn't, let me know and see what I can do to fix it for next time. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.